The diaphragm is connected to the vagus nerve, which triggers the rest and digest response in the nervous system. Now, remember how I previously said that the upper chest breathing is related to fight or flight? Well, as we see now, that diaphragmatic breathing is related to rest and digest. Not just in the sense that it stimulates that vagus nerve and triggers that response in the nervous system, but also in the way that it massages our digestive organs. Because if you look at the placement of the diaphragm, there's a lot of digestive organs underneath there. So every time you breathe through the diaphragm, you massage the stomach, the intestines, stuff like that. If you don't breathe through the diaphragm, you miss out on that massaging. And also your body never really gets into that rest and digest state, which will really or might really impact your digestive system and can cause digestive issues. Then another thing to note is that about 50% of all lymph nodes in the body are situated in the stomach area. Now, the lymphatic system is basically our waste disposal system, right? It gets rid of toxins and stuff like that. So it's really important for immune function, for staying healthy. And it's kind of similar in a way to the cardiovascular system in that it moves around fluid. Cardiovascular system moves around blood. The lymphatic system moves around lymph fluid. Now, there's one big difference. The cardiovascular system has a pump, being the heart, whereas the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. The movement of the fluid within the lymphatic system is dependent upon our movement. And a big part of that, remember I said 50% of the lymph nodes, or maybe even more, are located in the stomach area. So a big part of that movement is dependent on the movement of our diaphragm. In a way, you could say that the lymphatic system does have a bit of a pump, and it's the diaphragm. Except where we're always using the heart, we are not always using the diaphragm. So by not breathing deeply into that diaphragm, again, by breathing from the chest, we miss out on that stimulation of lymph flow, which again will result in a lot of health issues. Bad lymph flow is usually associated with fatigue, just feeling sluggish, tired, a bad immune system, always getting sick, stuff like that. Then one third thing I'm going to note here is we already kind of touched upon this. I told you earlier that the diaphragm is the roof of the core, right? Hold on a minute. Now, in that sense, it's also connected to the pelvic bowl and the pelvic muscles. And what happens is, when the diaphragm contracts, the pelvic muscles relax and the other way around. So every time you take a deep breath through the diaphragm, you give your pelvic bowl a little workout. Now, if you're always breathing from the chest, you miss out on that. And as a result, your pelvic muscles might get weak, which will then result in sexual dysfunction, prolapse, stuff like that.